This massive fire engulfs an apartment building on Chicago's South Side. This is your live picture here from Chopper 7 HD. Hundreds of firefighters have been battling it for hours.
Live from Chicago's #1 news, ABC7 Eyewitness News at 7 starts streaming now.
Top of the hour on a Tuesday, I'm Terrell Brown.
And I'm Tanya Babich in for Val. We're going to go right to our breaking news. Chopper 7 HD again over this intense fire roaring in Hyde Park. We are awaiting a news briefing from fire officials at any moment now. We'll head right to the scene, though. That's where Diane Pathieu is live, gathering more information for us. Diane.
That's okay.
We're ready.
Okay, good morning. So we're here at 5124 South Kenwood, where we have a 4-story ordinary, it's a condo unit actually, 60 by about 60 dimensions, a heavy fire load here. When companies reported on the scene this morning about 3:34, that's when we were notified of the fire. They quickly started elevating the alarm. Right now, we're currently at a 311 alarm. We have over 250 personnel on the scene, over 95 pieces of equipment operating here at this fire. Right now, the fire is still not under control. We are in defensive mode because the roof came in. So everybody is out the building now, all members. We transported one female red from the second floor unit where fire companies went in and pulled her out. We did have a tenant say that they did hear a smoke detector. At this time, it's unconfirmed. OFI is on the scene and they will have to wait and make determinations as to if this building is safe enough to go into. We did note, and fire companies noted, that there is a heavy fire load or hoarding conditions on the second floor of this unit, which made it very difficult for us to get in. When they initially got here, the rear back porches were fully involved on the second, third, and fourth floors. So they had a hard time getting in. And at this current moment, like I said, we have a lot of equipment operating still, trying to gain control of this fire. We have slight communications to the property next door, 5130, as they're butted up together, and we have a point of vantage working off of that building onto the roof. So right now, we are not sure of the condition of the victim that we transported. That person was red to University of Chicago, critical.
How many people were evacuated from the room?
Right now, the roof has collapsed in, and so at this time, we're going to just surround it and put a lot of water on it. It'll take some time because of roofing materials and layers, and then the fire load that's already in there. So we'll be putting water on it for quite some time, and then a determination will be made by one of our chiefs as to the safety of the building to see if anybody can go in the building at that time.
You went down around to the back.
I went all the way around. You still, after all of these hours, you still can't see through the gangway or anything, and we're pouring tons of water on this fire. The good news is that everybody else is safe at this point. So the one thing we can get out of this is that smoke detectors do work and they do save lives. But when we encounter hoarding conditions, it makes it very difficult for us to get in. Stairwells are burned out in some parts of this building already too, so that also hampers our ability to get in and do anything in this building.
I know you said you transported one woman. How many people were actually rescued from the building?
Well, other people already self-evacuated. We pulled out one woman. Everybody else reported. We were given reports that they were out. I think about 8 people have been displaced at this point. We don't have a final count as of yet.
Does it seem that the fire started?
I can't comment where the fire started at. That's going to be OFI making a determination. Once they are able to gain access to the building and it's safe, they'll know then.
And obviously we're not amateurs.
It appears that much of the fire, when they pulled up, the first fire company pulled up a lot of heavy fire load on the second, third, and fourth floors in the rear, and it looks like back porches. It's still hard to see.
You know, we're just amateurs looking at it, but to us it seems like every time he's seeming to get it under control,
right,
the person deflates again.
Because you have layers and layers and layers of building materials. You have everything else that's in a common apartment or condo or house up there too. So that's all adding to the fire load. So we're pouring copious amounts of water on it to try to gain control of it. Normally when the roof comes in, you might be out here for hours trying to just get enough water to saturate the roofing materials and everything else. And we don't know like how thick is that roof or anything like that at this point. So they got a lot of work ahead of them yet.
Are you concerned about additional collapse?
At this point, no, because the roof has come in, and I think it's impacted the third floor, so from the roof to the fourth and possibly the third floor, but we're unable to determine that until we can gain access to see better.
Can you describe the mortgage situation, what you saw when you were able to finally get inside? fire?
Well, I haven't been in, and I can't describe. You can just look at the window and tell what the conditions are like. We've had 2 other fires this year already, similar conditions. So it's important for people to know, if you know someone who has a hoarding condition, try to get them some help, because these are the times that matter when you have a fire and we try to gain access, and it hinders our ability to gain control of a fire or even get in there safely or keep from hurting one of us as well.
What about on either side of the building?
Last question.
Buildings that were residents that you said that were evacuated on either side. How many about?
I don't have a number on totally how many people were evacuated out the other building. I don't have that.
We know who you are. Give us your name for the record, please.
Annette Nance Holt, Fire Commissioner.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Everybody.
Thanks. How many units? So it's 4 stories.
It's 4.
Chicago Fire Commissioner Annette Holt giving us an update on this fire that we've been watching all morning long. Some of the first calls came out just after 3 a.m. A condo unit 60 by 60 in Hyde Park. We know now it's still not under control. And the big headline here, the roof of that building, while still on fire, has collapsed.
We also know that 1 woman has been taken to the hospital in critical condition. Others in the building were able to evacuate safely. Roz, you were saying earlier that you and our traffic producer, Bill Kenke, were wondering, what is fueling this fire, that it has been so out of control for so long? Perhaps a little bit of perspective there from Commissioner Nance Holt now, saying that there was a hoarding situation on the 2nd floor of this building where they pulled that person out in critical condition.
Yeah, that does answer a lot of questions for sure, Tanya, but they're going to be out there for a while trying to get this thing under control. And then, as the fire commissioner stated, there's going to be a lot of overhaul, cleanup, and investigation going on. So I want to go back in the air with Chopper 7 one more time, just so we can see the intensity of these flames coming out of the roof of this fire at 51st and Kenwood. We have so many streets closed in this area. We've got streets closed. Both Kenwood and Kimbark are closed between Hyde Park, which is for all practical purposes 51st Street, to 53rd Street, and then Hyde Park Boulevard is closed between University and Dorchester, and that's where those 95 pieces of equipment are parked and trying to get access to put this thing out, attending it aerially. But you've got those huge flames shooting through the roof, which has collapsed. It is going to be some time until they can get this under control. Now, I do want to come back to the maps because we've got other traffic issues that we need to address. First of all, the travel times have really grown. They're between 40 and 50, 55 minutes now between the Tri-State and downtown on most of the expressways. And we've got a new crash in Lake Zurich on US 12 near Old Rand Road. And that's a bad spot. It is causing some very heavy delays there. We also are going to keep an eye on things public transportation related because we had some delays on the BNSF. They're getting that under control as well. So Tanya and Terrell will have another check for you coming up in about 10 minutes or so.
Okay, sounds good, Ross. Thank you so much. I want to get back out to Diane Pathieu, who's watching this fire out in Hyde Park. And Diane, it seemed to be a normal call for an apartment fire when those calls first went out this morning, and we learned a lot more about why those flames were and are as intense as they are.
And we knew about the hoarding situation earlier today, Terrell, but we didn't want to say that on camera until we got it from the commissioner herself. And she did confirm for us that's one of the biggest challenges or challenge that firefighters are facing is that one of the condos, there's a hoarding situation and made it very difficult for firefighters to get in initially and begin to tackle that fire. And so what we have now is that fire spreading very, very quickly throughout the entire 4-story condo building. And so she said everybody was evacuated from that building. She thinks about 8 people. And one of the women who was taken out of the building was rushed to UFC hospital in critical condition. But I wanted to show you what's going on right now behind me. So you can see the first, I don't know if you can tell, but that first floor, there's a whole lot of stuff inside pressed up against those windows. And that's what Commissioner Nance Holt was talking about. Everything's pressed up against these windows, and they were trying to get water inside the building as quickly as possible. So obviously everything, the heat was rising and the fire and flames now at the top. She already talked about the roof being, the roof collapsing, and that's where firefighters are concentrating on right now, is tackling the flames shooting from that roof. Now, earlier this morning, I was able to talk to one of the residents who managed to get out of the building next door. You're taking a look right now at Chopper 7 HD Live, showing you those pictures of where and how those firefighters are tackling things from top. Take a listen to one of the neighbors I talked to who had to get out of their building quickly.
I woke up about 4 o'clock with noise in the backyard, and I looked out to see somebody chopping down the wooden fence between the properties. the one next door that's on fire.
So again, they had to evacuate the building adjacent to the one that's on fire because they're so close together. They're worried about that fire spreading, but everybody got out okay. In the building itself that's on fire, one woman with critical injuries was taken to UFC hospital. So right now, firefighters still tackling this fire very, very aggressively. And again, one of the biggest challenges was the hoarding situation on one of the first floor condos. So another thing that they have to worry about and concentrate on are the back porches. Apparently it's very thick smoke back there, and firefighters are having a difficult time actually seeing through that thick black smoke. So lots of challenges, 250 firefighters here on the scene tackling this fire, and they've been doing so since 3:30 this morning. We'll bring you the latest, obviously, throughout the morning. But in the meantime, let's talk about the weather, because that always plays a factor when you're fighting a fire. And thankfully, we do not have very strong winds moving things around here. And with that, let's go over to Tracy.
Thank you, Diane. Great job to you and your crew who have been there since the beginning covering this story. Well, right, we do not have strong winds this morning. If anything, they're coming out of the north at about 5 to 9 miles per hour at this moment. What we do have is some patchy fog, and we're just seeing lowering visibility across portions of Porter and LaPorte counties now in northern Indiana. Our temperatures: 37 in Gary. We have 35 in Valparaiso, where it is really foggy. 30 right now in DeKalb, 39 Joliet, and 39 degrees right now in Waukegan. Today, overcast skies are going to be with us, and those temperatures today topping out in the mid 40s, which is above average. We'll go through the 7-day in my next report. Tanya and Terrell.
Thank you, Tracy. Investigators are now confirming Andrei Kislyak killed his wife Vera and their 4- and 6-year-old daughters, as well as his mother, before stabbing himself to death. They were all found inside the family's home last Wednesday. An online fundraiser has raised more than $65,000. The money will cover the funeral expenses for Vera and her daughters. The ballot for the race for Chicago mayor is taking shape. Today is the lottery to determine the order that the candidates' names appear on the ballot.
11 hopefuls filed to run for the city's top office. Now 5 candidates are being forced to defend the validity of their petitions to appear on the ballot. But incumbent Mayor Lori Lightfoot is not among them. February 28th is Election Day. This will likely be an emotional ceremony at the Capitol Rotunda in Washington, D.C. Today, law enforcement officers who defended the U.S. Capitol on January 6th will be awarded Congressional Gold Medals. It's the highest honor that Congress can bestow. Dozens of the officers who fought off the rioters had serious injuries. To recognize the hundreds of officers who were at the Capitol on January 6th, the medals will be placed in 4 locations at U.S. Capitol Police Headquarters, the Metropolitan Police Department, the Capitol, and the Smithsonian Institution.
The White House says Doug Emhoff, the husband of Vice President Kamala Harris, will host Jewish leaders for a discussion on anti-Semitism. The roundtable is tomorrow. Emhoff is the first Jewish person among the top 4, the president, vice president, and their spouses. And he has become increasingly outspoken about growing bias toward people of Jewish faith and hate at large in the U.S.
Neighbors are sharing their concerns. They did so during a town hall on the plan to bring a Bally's casino to Chicago. Last night's meeting was focused on the permanent riverfront casino planned for the Old Tribune Publishing Center on Chicago Avenue.
I want to highlight the continued concern about increase in addiction that comes with a casino in local communities, including this one, which projects to get a vast majority of its revenue from residents, not from tourists. This will have an impact on our communities, crime, and etc.
While the casino has been approved, the project itself still requires the approval of the Chicago Plan Commission. The temporary site is set to open in the spring, with the permanent casino expected to be up and running in 2026. This is new at 7. Going to look a lot more like Christmas at Willis Tower in downtown Chicago. Today, you can celebrate the holiday season on the ground floor. Got live music, and local artists will be selling gifts and other items. The event runs from 11 in the morning until 1 in the afternoon. Nice.
Yeah, another location to buy some handmade goods. And speaking of the holidays, ABC7 has kicked off the Disney Ultimate Toy Drive with the U.S. Marine Corps Reserve's Toys for Tots Foundation. The goal is to collect 100,000 toys. There are several ways that you can give. You can purchase a toy to donate at shopdisney.com now through December 24th. Drop off a toy at any one of several locations throughout the Chicagoland area through December 21st, or join Tracy at our Stuff the Truck event this Saturday, December 10th at Apple Chevy in Tinley Park. We posted more information at ABC7Chicago.com. More coming your way in 90 seconds.
Good morning. Taking a peek at our current temperatures, we have some colder ones out to the north and west. 30 degrees in DeKalb, 31 in Woodstock, 33 right now in Aurora. We have 39 at O'Hare, 37 in Gary, 36 in Peatone, 35 degrees right now. Valparaiso, if you're trying to get the kiddos ready to go wait for that school bus this morning, still got to have the hats and the gloves and the coats. Yep, I think that'll be very helpful this morning. With some of these temperatures even in the lower 30s, we don't have strong winds out there this morning. What we will have through the day is an abundance of cloud cover. And this evening, there will be some light showers in the area as well. As for tomorrow, I still think we have a lot of cloud cover, and those high temperatures tomorrow back up into the mid 40s. As for Thursday, so rain is going to develop here most likely Thursday evening. I think most of us do not see a transition to snow on Friday. I think the one area that does get a transition to snow is going to be across southern Wisconsin and that state line. Roz?
We are still keeping an eye on things in Hyde Park. I want to go up with Chopper 7 because now the CTA has added to the reroutes the number 15 Jeffrey local buses. They are being diverted around this fire at Kenwood and 51st. But we've got a lot of streets that continue to be blocked here. Kenwood, Kimbark, Hyde Park Boulevard, everything surrounding that 4-story apartment complex. The entire thing has all that fire equipment parked on it. So you will need to steer clear there. It's still an active 3-alarm fire. It is not under control by any means. I want to come back to the maps because right now the expressways, we've got travel times anywhere from 35 minutes to 55 minutes on the Stevenson. Plus the Stevenson inbound right at the Tri-State, we've got a crash, so that's causing huge delays in that DuPage County corridor. We also have a crash off the expressways in Addison, on Lake Street, east of Rawling Road. Terrell, back to you.
Thank you. After 24 years on the job, Jesse White is retiring from his job as Secretary of State. He was the first African American to serve in that role, and he's held the job longer than anyone in this state's history. John Garcia talked to White about his decades in public service and what you may not know about him.
They've been flying through the air doing aerial gymnastics for more than 6 decades. And Jesse White has been actively leading his tumblers for all of those years. More than 18,000 young men who he's helped go on to college and become successful adults, all while keeping his day jobs, and he's had a few of them, ranging from his first career as a professional baseball player to his time with the 101st Airborne Division as a paratrooper. Oh, and his teaching career, more than 30 years in Chicago public schools. Then it was on to politics, first in the General Assembly for 14 years, then to the Secretary of State's office for the last 24.
I went before the Democratic Party and indicated that I wanted to become the next Secretary of State for the state of Illinois. I was told not to waste my time.
White says he campaigned 14 to 16 hours a day to become the state's first African-American Secretary of State. He vowed to modernize the office and root out the corruption he says was part of the culture. He's now completing his 6th term. He's held the office longer than anyone. It's a run that will come to an end in early January when, at 88 years old, he retires.
When there's a mission before you, you see it from its beginning to its conclusion. That's how I run my life. I teach my young people to love their fellow man and woman.
Jesse White credits those who taught him discipline as a child to his political mentors. He says he learned the importance of public service and he has spent his life giving back. Of course, the name on this door is going to change very soon, but Secretary White plans to meet with the incoming Secretary of State, Alexi Giannoulias, next week to help with his transition into the office. In the Loop, John Garcia, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
This is new this morning. Metro is adding 28 trains to the Milwaukee District and North Central service lines starting Monday. The added trains will increase service during midday rush hour and the late evening hours. And on the North Central service line, trains that currently begin and end at Buffalo Grove will be extended to Antioch.
The former First Lady has wrapped up her first appearance of a 2-night stop in Chicago to promote her latest book, The Light We Carry, Overcoming in Uncertain Times.
She's sharing stories from the book at the Chicago Theater right across the street from our studios. Mrs. Obama says the idea for this book started during the quarantine that she did during the start of the pandemic.
We were trapped in our thoughts, and I was no different. And when you have that amount of time alone to think about, you know, yourself, your life, your world, for me, I was just spinning. And it was not just quarantine, but it was just where the world was generally.
Michelle Obama will return to the stage at the Chicago Theater tonight. Val Warner will be out there interviewing the First Lady later on today. You can check her reports out on Eyewitness News starting at 6 p.m. I wonder if Val's going to have the matching pony to match the First Lady.
We shall see.
We'll see. We'll find out later. I'm sure we'll find out. Hey, right now we're going to link up with everybody that's watching Good Morning America.
I'll have a news update on TV in just a little bit. You'll see it here as well.
And when we come back, some Indiana hospitals are restricting visitors over flu rates. That starts today. More on that on the way.
Now, an update from ABC7 Eyewitness News.
Good morning. It's 7:23. I'm Tanya Babich. We continue to follow our breaking news from this morning. A massive fire at an apartment building in Chicago's Hyde Park neighborhood. Chopper 7 HD is overhead right now in the 5100 block of South Kenwood Avenue. Officials say one woman was injured. Roz has been following this for us all morning long. Roz, a little bit of hope here that firefighters have been able to get this fire under control versus what we were seeing just half an hour ago.
It's always a good indication, Tanya, when we see white smoke as opposed to that thick, dark black smoke. It's kind of grayish right now, but I am seeing a lot more white than what we saw earlier, and the flames seem to not be quite as intense. So it's hard to tell, though. I never want to speculate in a situation like this, but of course we're talking about a 3-alarm fire in that 4-story apartment complex at 51st and Kenwood. One person critically injured, a woman who was rescued from the 2nd floor. Listed in critical condition right now, but they've got all of the streets surrounding this building blocked off to traffic. That includes Hyde Park Boulevard, Kenwood, also Kimbark, and there are 95 pieces of equipment, 250 firefighters battling this blaze, which was elevated to 3 alarms, and so far they have not changed that, so we'll continue to monitor the situation. We're going to take a quick time out. Tracy's forecast after the break.
Now's the time for a healthy start. So let's move. Let's rest and recharge. And put our health first. Let's be well. To To do that, let's eat well. Breathe deep. Find joy in the little moments. And do what we love with who we love. Together, let's live well. Advocate Aurora Health.
Good morning. Taking a peek at our current temperatures, it is 39 out at O'Hare, 41 degrees that temperature at Midway, 37 in Gary, and 40 right now in Joliet. We do not have strong winds with us here this morning, so wind chills are not a big issue this morning. Temperatures this afternoon topping out in the mid-40s. We'll see some light rain showers in the area here this evening.
Welcome back, everybody. As we look outside, a little bit of a foggy start in some spots as we start this Tuesday morning and beginning today in hospitals. Let's go out to Indiana, where the largest health systems will start to restrict visitors. This is all because of the recent increase in flu and other respiratory cases. IU Health will allow only 2 immediate family members at a time. Nobody under the age of 18 will be allowed in unless they are a parent, and masks will also be required.
And because of that increase in viral activity, there's an urgent push from the CDC for people to get vaccinated against both the flu and COVID. Doctors at Rush here in Chicago say they've seen a surge in COVID cases since Thanksgiving.
Immunity does wane over time, so everyone expects that we'll see more cases and more hospitalizations in the next 1 to 2 months.
There is some good news here. Doctors did also mention that they've seen fewer cases of RSV over the last few weeks.
Still to stream this morning, we continue to stay on top of that big fire at an apartment building in the Hyde Park neighborhood. We have a live report for you coming up next.
watching ABC7 Eyewitness News at 7. Streaming live now.
Still watching that breaking news this morning. The extra alarm fire, 3 alarms at an apartment building on Chicago's South Side.
It's happening at 51st and South Kenwood in Hyde Park. Diane Pathew has been there all morning long. She has an update for us now. Diane.
And it is still rolling, Tanya and Terrell. Take a look at this. Firefighters have been battling this blaze since 3:30 this morning in this 4-story apartment complex. Let's go to Chopper 7 HD live overhead, and you can really see the depth of what we're talking about. They're concentrating right now on the flames shooting out of the apartment building's roof, and the roof has already partially collapsed, and still flames shooting out of this building. We do understand from the fire commissioner here that one woman was transported to UFC hospital in critical condition. 8 other people, at least 8 people displaced in this fire that, as again I said, it started earlier this morning. 250 firefighters battling this blaze. Earlier, I talked to a neighbor who had to be evacuated from the building right next door. Take a listen.
Something woke me up, then I heard the fire engines coming and people were knocking on doors saying fire, fire, gotta get out. Someone on the street was screaming, get out of the building, your building's on fire.
So we're hearing lots of stories like that where people thought they heard some sort of noise. They went out to take a look and saw the building next door on fire, and they quickly got out. And a lot of people did manage to escape and evacuate on their own, which is the good news. Again, one woman injured critically and taken to UFC. Firefighters still very much working very hard to try and put out this fire. Now, let's talk about the street closures, because there is a lot of equipment all over the place requiring a lot of street closures. With that, let's go to my colleague Roz Viren.
95, more than 95 pieces of equipment, Diane. And now the CTA is rerouting 2 of their bus routes, the number 15 Jeffrey Local and the number 2 Hyde Park. Let's go back up in the air with Chopper 7 to get that aerial perspective once again. It's incredible because these buildings are so close together that they were able to proactively, the firefighters were, prevent any of that fire from spreading to that nearby building where they had to evacuate all of the residents there. But the street closures, lots of them. Hyde Park Boulevard is closed. We've got closures on both Kimbark and Kenwood between Hyde Park Boulevard and 53rd. And as I said, the 2 CTA bus routes were affected as well. So that is going to be, we're going to have to deal with that for a while this morning. Now, I want to come back to the maps because we've got some high travel times and we've had a couple of crashes out there. Right now, the travel times are anywhere from 35 minutes on the Ike to 55 minutes on the Kennedy and Stevenson. We also have a crash inbound at the Tri-State that's causing delays right now. You can see it, that whole DuPage County corridor is backed up. Plus, there's a crash on the outbound side of the Ryan at 83rd. Car hit the wall, so we've got that going on. And then we've got this crash in Long Grove that is causing delays. There's the crash on the Stevenson, but the crash in Long Grove is eastbound on Lake Cook just before Route 53. That is not a good spot. We always see big delays when anything happens there. Tanya and Terrell, back to you.
Well, Roz, I'll take it from here. A lot going on there, and you've been doing an amazing job. Again, so much breaking news in the traffic department. 39 degrees right now out at O'Hare, 41 degrees out at Midway, 35 Valparaiso. It's 40 in Joliet and 31 degrees right now in Woodstock. Our skies this morning are filled with a good amount of cloud cover. We'll see highs today up into the mid-40s. Average high today is 39 degrees, so we are going to get above that. As for tomorrow, looks like another overcast day. Fair amount of cloud cover and highs back into the mid-40s. I'll have the 7-day for you in my next report. Tanya and Terrell.
Okay, Tracy, we'll see you in a little bit. Come on over here. Here's what everybody's talking about today. And, of course, the sad news about actress Kirstie Alley, best known for her role on Cheers. She was 71 years old, also a beloved mother and grandmother. She died after a short battle, a private battle with cancer. I didn't have any idea that she was dealing with anything, struggling with anything, and it seems so sudden. Her friends and co-stars have been paying tribute, among them John Travolta, who starred with Alley, and Look Who's Talking in those films. Was among the stars who paid tribute to her, saying on Instagram that Kirstie was one of the most special relationships I've ever had. I love you, Kirstie. I know we will see each other again.
In February 2011, Kirstie was announced as a contestant on season 12 of Dancing with the Stars. She was partnered with professional dancer Maxim Chermovsky, and again in season 15 for a second chance to win the Mirror Ball Trophy. He posted his thoughts on Instagram, saying she was one of the most unique people he had ever met and was easily one of the brightest moments of his personal and professional life. He went on saying, quote, "I love her."
Yeah, I think everybody's got a Kirstie Alley story, whether it's like a movie that you remember or a way she made you feel with a part that she was playing. What do you say, Tracy and Roz?
I just remember Cheers when they went from, Shelley Long when she left the show, and it was like, oh my gosh, how
can you replace her?
Right, exactly. And wow, she stepped in creating that role of Rebecca, and it was great. She was so great.
The thing that I really loved about Kirstie Alley is what you see is what you get. She really did speak her mind about everything, and I so respect that.
Yeah, she wasn't like a caricature at all, right? It's just so authentic and so real. It's a shock. Did you guys know anything about Kirstie being ill, going?
No,
yeah,
I don't think
she kept that very private.
Very private. Yeah. Certainly thoughts and prayers with her family, and something that we'll be talking about throughout the day today.
18% gratuity is already included in the bill. Girl, it's water.
In the drive-thru, and they've been asking for a tip.
All right, so a little bit of a hint of what we're going to talk about now. Some shoppers taking to social media debating the question of to tip or not to tip. This is being called tipflation. Tips are a staple of the service industry and long have been. This seems to be extending now beyond that into other industries, as we heard earlier. And some folks aren't too pleased about it. So what's the deal? A professor who has studied tipping for a decade says the new tipping trend started with the boom of digital kiosks. And then the pandemic plus inflation, more businesses are allowing tips to make jobs more lucrative. What do you think about it? Are you tired of the tips? Do you understand? Do you try to tip generously? What's your MO here?
I don't get it, right? Like, so there are 2 or 3 things that have happened recently. Just ordering breakfast and picking it up across the street. Do you want to leave a tip? Ordering takeout from a restaurant, picking it up. Do you want to leave a tip? And I mean, and it's everywhere. Just for going to the store, standard purchases. Do you want to leave 15, 20, 25%? And a lot of times I don't know what to do, and I kind of feel guilty, and I do it because I don't want anybody to think that I'm cheap or that I don't want to tip. But I don't.
Brown from ABC7,
he's so darn cheap and don't want to pay any money. I don't know what to do anymore. I mean, I think of course you got the standard tipping, like you go to a restaurant, anything in service, a haircut, you tip. But when I'm picking up food, when I order a big takeout menu and they ask, do you want to leave a 25% tip on a takeout order? I don't know anymore.
I would like to know who gets that tip.
That's another good question. Yeah.
I mean, if you're ordering takeout and you go pick it up yourself, where's that tip go? To the person who handed it to you? To the person who made it?
Kitchen, right?
I mean, where'd it go?
That's the question behind a lot of the online delivery services, too, that became so popular during the pandemic. Remember, there were service charges, and you kind of assumed, oh, I'm paying, this money to whoever it is that's shopping for my order or dropping off my order. No. It's going to the company, and then you pay tipping on top of that. And I think what is so frustrating, so deeply frustrating about this, is that it's a system that endorses underpaying people to begin with for their labor.
Can I say something about that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so this goes way, 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 way back when I was like in high school, and I started waitressing. I was, a server. And it was very surprising to me that your minimum wage is half minimum wage. I mean, we were, making like $2 an hour.
Right.
And you would supplement that with your tips, and that was explained to you. But then you had to give a percentage of your tips to, after high school, to the bar, to the, bus people and everything. So it all gets divided out. When I go to a restaurant, I always overtip.
Yeah.
Always, because I know what kind of hard work that is.
Wow, and especially for breakfast. People serving breakfast where it
fast.
might not be right.
Listen,
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's
Yeah.
a lot. So I go along with that, and I feel very strongly about that. Ask my husband, how much did you tip? Always have to make sure that it's appropriate.
Yeah.
But all these other things, it's very confusing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't understand how the breakdown of it.
Or just what you're supposed to do, right? Like, I mean, am I supposed to, when I call in an order and they say, you know, do you want to leave a tip for the staff? I mean, do I do it? Should I?
Do you want to answer? Do you want to pay the staff adequately so that I don't need to leave a tip?
I mean, it's
the one TikToker who was like, "It's water, y'all."
Right,
like
exactly.
You go to a store, you buy a bottle of water, and they're like, "Would you like to tip on that?" I just picked up the bottle of water from the cooler, and I just want to pay for it and go.
Yeah. I still think, I mean, and it sounds like we're all saying the same thing. For anybody in the service industry,
we want you to be paid properly.
Absolutely, and you should be tipped. But all that other stuff, where I'm calling in, I gotta, and so how I've decided to do it is, like, if I call in an order and I order 3 things and it comes up to $40, I leave a $3 tip for the number of items that I ordered, and that's for orders over the phone. I don't know if that's right or correct, but that's what I ended up with.
Makes sense.
We'll see.
You can add them on social media if it's not, and we will know.
And yeah, exactly.
And so will we, for that matter. You're not in this alone.
Right. By the way, according to the experts, the advice is to not tip in cash.
It's to tip in cash, not credit.
Oh, is that?
Which
is
is
that
an
what it
entirely different
Oh.
conversation, because wait a minute, I don't have time to pull up my Venmo app because now they're
Cash. Oh,
asking
yes,
for
yes, yes,
tips
yes.
by Venmo as well,
That's
or
another
by
thing, right.
Zelle. It's a whole thing.
I'm going back to do traffic. This is too
I
confusing.
know, seriously.
All right.
That's why it's a discussion.
Exactly.
Lots to say about it.
Yeah. Breaking news that we're still watching this morning, that massive fire that's still burning in Hyde Park. I know that Roz is keeping an eye on this. Diane Pathy was out there getting some new information in. We're going to take a quick break, circle back, get this to you right after this. Hang on.
Welcome back, everybody. We're going to start with the fire activity in Hyde Park. Status quo at 51st and Kenwood. Chopper 7 is still over the scene. A very smoky fire, but we still have flames shooting from the roof. A 3-alarm fire going on since about 3:30 this morning has every street surrounding that 4-story apartment complex blocked off to traffic, including Kimbark, Kenwood, and Hyde Park Boulevard. Number 15 and number 2 CTA buses also being rerouted. As we come back to the maps, we've got some other issues that we have to address, including the travel times, which are 40 to 60 minutes, and we've got crashes. This one inbound on the Stevenson at the Tri-State still blocking the left lane, and miles and miles of traffic from before 355. They cleared the crash outbound on the Rhine at 83rd, but residual delays, as you can see. It was one car hit the wall. And then we've got a crash in Oak Brook at Route 83. It's on Route 83 at I-88. the Reagan tollway. So we've got delays trying to get onto the tollway at that location. Let's check with Tracy for the forecast update. Tracy, what you got?
Oh, here we go, Roz. We have a lot of cloud cover with us here. And not just today, but today in through the weekend into early next week. Looks like we are in a very overcast pattern. And we will add some rain into the mix here this evening. I think more rain layers up here for us on Thursday. So you may be hearing, oh, we might get snow. Well, I think most of us at this point, based on some new data, are going to get rain into Friday. Any transition to snow looks as though it's going to be into southern Wisconsin on Friday morning, and maybe even some of our far northern suburbs. Fog continues to lower visibility over around Valparaiso right now. Here's that cloudy picture that's out there at this time. There you see some showers that do move into our area as we get into the evening hours. Today, yeah, maybe a few light showers this evening. Tanya and Terrell.
Tracy, thank you. Car rental company Hertz has agreed to pay nearly $170 million to settle hundreds of cases of rental cars that they said were stolen.
An allegation that led to a real nightmare for those drivers. ABC's Rhiannon Alley has this story for us this morning.
This morning, Hertz is settling hundreds of lawsuits from customers who were falsely accused of stealing vehicles, resulting in some paying customers being arrested at gunpoint.
This car is reported stolen from Hertz Rent-A-Car. Did you rent it?
Yes! They yelled and screamed, get out of the car, put my hands up.
All of them were pointing guns literally to the back of our head.
Hertz blamed a recurring computer glitch for sometimes listing vehicles as stolen or incorrectly marking a customer as having not paid. The company also blaming the computer glitch for not properly recording rental extensions.
It's something that shouldn't have never happened. I had a valid corporate lease agreement, what I thought was.
Jonathan Olivares says he was pulled over in Louisiana after Hertz reported his car as stolen. He could not get in touch with his employer, who set up the rental, so officers charged him with felony auto theft.
I was in a cell the size of a bathroom with 2 other inmates.
Kelly Grady of Pennsylvania was arrested 1 month after she returned a Hertz vehicle because the SUV was reported as stolen. She spent 12 days in jail before clearing things up.
It was degrading.
Now Hertz has agreed to pay $168 million, settling 364 pending claims from customers with similar stories. The company's new CEO says the cases involved 1/100% of Hertz customers, saying while we will not always be perfect, the professionals at Hertz will continue to work every day to provide best in-class service to the tens of millions of people we serve each year. Rhiannon Alley, ABC News, New York.
Y'all got cheated.
You ain't lying, because I'd be asking for a whole lot more money and fussing a whole heck of a lot more about this.
The 300 cases where people were arrested.
Yeah, spending days in jail.
Accused of stealing vehicles, and you're saying sorry for a computer glitch?
Yeah, nah, sorry. Sorry, my reaction isn't strong. I can't even show it on TV right now. Hertz filed for bankruptcy.
Hertz is hurting.
Yeah, right. Filed for bankruptcy in 2020.
The CEO says a meaningful part of the settlement will come from the company's insurance carriers.
Oof.
Just
It's a
blown
mess
away.
all the way around. More news coming up in 90 seconds.
Ask yourself if you are happy, and then you cease to be. That's a tip from you to me.
All right, so Jack White fans, tickets go on sale today to see Jack White in a last-minute show at Empty Bottle. He's performing tomorrow night for his concert at the Aragon Ballroom Thursday. Tickets for Wednesday's show go on sale at noon. Social media posts from Empty Bottle say doors open up at 7:30, and the show starts at 9 o'clock. Take a look at your screen. The people that make Hellmann's mayonnaise want you to try mixing it into your eggnog this year. Mayonnaise and eggnog. Eggs are the third ingredient in mayo, and they claim it works even better than egg yolks. They're selling a blended version called Frozen Mayo Nog at a place in New York this month.
Our floor director Amanda's retching right now.
For us here in Chicago, they posted the recipe so you can make it yourself. Each cup has 4 teaspoons of mayonnaise along with milk, heavy cream, simple syrup, nutmeg, vanilla extract, and cinnamon, plus rum, brandy, and cognac. That actually sounds good. There's also a non-alcoholic version. You can find both recipes on their Instagram.
So, first of all, the number 3 ingredient in mayo is eggs, which means there are 2 ingredients in higher quantities, oil being one of them. The other thing is I looked up eggnog recipes thinking to myself, okay, well, mayo is basically eggs, oil, and some kind of acid. So lemon juice, for example. And is there any kind of acid to balance the flavors in a regular eggnog recipe that they're saying, okay, well, maybe this is a substitute for it? Nope. There is none. This is not a good substitute.
Yeah, it doesn't even sound like one. Yeah. So the deadline to submit your holiday lights display videos for the Great Chicago Light Fight is coming up fast.
Submit a video of your home at ABC7Chicago.com by this Friday, December the 9th.
Yeah, viewers, you at home will be able to watch, vote for your favorite. The winner will be announced live here on our 6 a.m. news on December 16th.
It's going to be right around the corner.
And right around the corner.
Eyewitness News streaming at 7 continues after a break.
Good morning, everybody. We've been following this breaking news over the Hyde Park neighborhood since we went on the air this morning. Chopper 7 remains over the 3-alarm fire at 51st and Kenwood. And now we're seeing a lot more smoke than we are flames. But trust me, the flames were through the roof across the entire roof of that building. You can see that they're still attacking this aerially. They also had hand lines. And we heard on the scanners that it is not under control yet, even though we're not seeing the flames, and firefighters cannot leave. They are switching out crews, different shift, but they still need to have firefighters. 250 firefighters they had on the scene. As a matter of fact, take a look at some of this video from earlier this morning, and you can see the intensity of the flames that were going through. It started on the 2nd floor. The fire commander talked about the hoarding situation, and that's why it burned so quickly and was so difficult to get under control. Tanya and Terrell.
Yeah, I mean, watching these pictures all morning long. And so we went from that picture to it being more smoky. We thought things were under control, and then
spark back up.
Yeah, really intensified. We'll keep you posted throughout the morning. In the meantime, appreciate you watching Eyewitness News at 7 a.m. I'm Terrell Brown.
And I'm Tanya Babich. I'll have a news update for you coming up. Tracy and Roz will have weather and traffic during Good Morning America.
Going to hear from them in just a moment. From everyone here at ABC7, have a great day, everybody. We'll see you back